Welcome to my channel. Please like, comment, and subscribe. In this video, we are going to talk about the dangers of maritime welding. Maritime welding is also known as hyperbaric welding, can be one of the most lucrative occupations that do not require a college degree. However, underwater welding accidents are a frequent occurrence on all platforms, ships, and underwater construction sites due to the dangers of maritime welding. According to research by the Centers of Disease Control (CDC), a welder's divers die at 40 times the rate of average Americans. Moreover, drowning and decompression sickness were the leading cause of fatalities, with electrocutions, explosion, and crash injuries causing many offshore accidents as well. With proper training and sound safety protocols, this risk can be mitigated. And then what is maritime welding? Welding is a diverse profession that is employed by numerous industries. Simply put, this craft entails using heat to fuse metals and thermoplastics together. While marine welding can also refer to work done by professional welder diver on offshore oil rigs, it typically refers to tasks necessary for the construction of both boats and ships, as well as for the repair of their metal structures and parts, oftentimes undersea. Therefore, maritime welders are always in the thick of the action, whether it is on an offshore rig, inland placement, or deep under the sea on an ocean liner. Underwater or deep sea welding is performed by commercial divers. Commercial diving is seen as one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. These divers are employed to repair oil rigs, ocean liners, or ship salvage operation. Due to the hazard that can occur from not immediately repairing an ocean vessels, welders are sent down regardless of the sea's condition. And then what are the risks of maritime welding? To be successful in the professional, maritime welders must be disciplined and aware of their surroundings. They also need to work for employers who do not cut concern on safety. Every day, maritime workers risk severe injury or death from first drowning. Maritime welders usually work in or around water. In such environments, drowning is always a risk. This risk is multiplied when welders work with heavy equipment in murky waters with low visibility and strong currents. Factors such as overwork, distraction, or disorientation and equipment failure can also cause underwater welders to drown. And then the second is decompression sickness. When welders work in a deep water, one of the biggest enemies is decompression sickness, or the bends. The bends happen when divers come back to the surface too quickly. Gases in the bloodstream escape into surrounding tissue and causing a host of uncomfortable symptoms and medical complications. In several cases, decompression sickness can cause maritime welding death. And then the next is electrical shock. Water is highly conducive of electricity. Waves and currents can cause divers to lose balance of their equipment to shift, which can result in loosened grounding cables and short circuits. In some cases, electric equipment simply breaks. And then the next, explosion. Maritime welding produces oxygen and hydrogen gases that can cause explosion if allowed to accumulate it. Divers and their backup crews need to be aware of areas where gas collected to avoid deadly deep sea explosion. And then crash injuries. Maritime welders work on around heavy machinery and massive structures such as oil platform. Crash injuries are common dangers to all maritime professionals, but divers and welders face higher risks. And then deep sea welding death and injuries. Every day, underwater welders run a number of risks. Along with a high level of skill, the work necessitates unyielding nerves, focus, and unending concentration. The dangers of maritime welding can lead to ultimately death and catastrophic injuries. In addition to equipment failure and accident, deep sea welders also face severe environment risks. According to research study, adverse water conditions contributed to 36% of underwater welding death. Malfunctioning equipment can often cause underwater electrocution. Electrocution is still a large threat to the professional. But if offshore employees follow the applicable safety precautions and guidelines, these maritime injuries and deaths can be prevented. Most maritime welding accidents occur from pressure changes and equipment malfunctions. 7% of all documented underwater welding mishaps are caused by differential pressure. This rate, therefore, places this rate at the top of the list. When water goes from a high pressure to a low pressure environment, delta P is typical. Welders opening valves, cutting into tight spaces, or turning on pumps might result in this dangerous offshore accident. And then deep sea welding standards. According to OSHS historical data, 6 to 13 diving related fatalities occur year on average. Those that work as a deep sea welders were included in the statistic because they are divers as well as welders. Despite these underwater fatalities, OSHA's regulation for commercial diving have not been substantially revised since 1970s. Thus, it is unfortunate that there are no current figures on the number of underwater welding incidents that take place in the United States each year. Because diving regulations have not been updated, despite significant changes to diving methods, welding equipment, and even diving itself over the past few decades, underwater welders are at an increased risk. The American Welding Society's AWS D3.6M 2010 specification for underwater welding is the most widely used standard that applies to underwater welding. The standard for welding components or structures below the water surface are covered and contemplates both dry and wet environments welding. There are more standards in place regarding the structures that there are to keep the diver safe. The standard for welding components and structures receive an update periodically, whereas the instruction for the safety of the welders have not been updated since 1990s. The next discussion is about deep sea welding in the news. As stated previously, most welding deaths are due to environmental risk and drowning. In recent news, a student of diver was undergoing underwater welding training and died in the Trout River in Jacksonville, Florida. The man had unidentified complication during his advanced low visibility training session, reportedly stating that his helmet was filling with water, which may have been due to equipment failure. In another recent incident, 3 bodies were recovered under a welding accident on a Trinidad and Tobago pipeline. The workers were reportedly sucked into an underwater 30-inch, like 76 centimeters, U-shaped pipeline. There were 5 men working on a maintenance project on the line, and one of the men was rescued. 3 bodies were found, and one is still missing. And then these 2 examples this year displayed the dangers of maritime welding and how the condition and equipment play a role in the deaths and injuries of these underwater welders. And then the next is how a Houston offshore injury attorney can help. A severe maritime welding accident may cause pain, suffering, and significant medical expenses. It can also result in years and in some cases a lifetime of lost income for you and your family. The path no compensation is not always clear to maritime welders. Depending on the circumstances of your employment, you might seek compensation under a variety of laws such as the Jones Act, the Longshore Harbor Workers Compensation Act, and others. And there is also a maritime lawyer that can help you on your path to financial recovery with a free, no obligation consultation. I think that's all the information that I can share. Don't forget to give like, comment, and subscribe.